Bernie Sanders is walking the walk, literally. According to the Des Moines Register, the Democratic presidential candidate and senator joined 100 Cedar Rapids union workers for a informational picket outside Penford Products. Now, what is Penford Products? That is a corn processor where the Bakers, Confectioner, Tobacco, Grain Millers Union, Local 100G, oh man, that's a long union name, they're negotiating a new contract with management. Now, as a pro-union guy, I support that. I support negotiation for fair wages and fair working conditions. I'm in favor of negotiation. And so is Bernie Sanders. Now, I love this quote from the article from the Des Moines Register. Quote, Sanders strolled up to the picket shortly before 5:30 p.m., picked up a sign stapled to a long stick, and marched to the crowd to a park across the street from the plant. I just imagine him just sauntering up there, picking up a sign and going, let's do this. I love it. And he said in a speech later on, quote, I want you to know being out on a picket line and standing with workers is something I've been doing my entire life, which is very, very true. He's had a very, very long record of standing with unions and protesting with unions. I did when I was mayor of the city of Burlington, did in Congress, did it in the Senate. This is what I do. And not even a faulty microphone could stop Senator Sanders. At one point, the article says the microphone went out, but he continued in a loud, hoarse voice until the man who had been leading chants during the picket approached and handed him a megaphone, which he then took and used to finish his speech. You can't stop this man. He just keeps going. Now, I love this. As I said, he's out there walking the picket lines, doing what he said he's going to do. And that's why people love him, because he's actually out there. He's actually walking. Now, I remember, and I'm sure you guys do too, when President Obama promised to do the same thing if union rights were threatened in Wisconsin. Does anybody remember how that turned out? Do you remember him walking the picket lines? No, I don't think so. And to be honest, I don't think you would see Hillary Clinton doing the same thing. I don't think I've ever seen her walk a picket line, whether or not she was the senator from New York or the Secretary of State or anything like that. Not to be completely unfair to Hillary, because she has said some very pro-union stuff, and actually I'm going to show you a clip here in a minute. You also won't see Martin O'Malley out there. At least I haven't. You guys can send me, articles and things like that if I'm wrong, because I don't know if you know this, but I can't see everything. I do my best to get all the information that I can, but I'm just one guy. So if you guys know anything, or if I misreport something, please let me know. Now, as I said, as far as I know, I haven't seen Hillary Clinton or Martin O'Malley or Lincoln Chafee or Jim Webb or any of those guys walk picket lines, ever. And that's sad, because as much as they talk about economic justice, things like raising wages and ensuring workplace protections, all of that gets spearheaded and done by unions and pushed through by unions. That is their function. It's the unions that do that. And I don't think collective bargaining has been addressed as much as I think it needs to be, especially by the other Democratic candidates, and especially within the past, 10, 20 years, perhaps longer. Unions have been on a huge decline. The only news that I hear about unions are people attacking them. And that's not a good thing. Now, to be fair on Hillary Clinton, she did give a speech that addressed things like wage theft, pensions, and collective bargaining. And that was yesterday, in fact. I've got a clip of that. Let's watch.
My principal jobs as your president will be to defend the right to organize and bargain collectively on behalf of hard-working Americans. And on the very first day in office, I'm going to get to work to reverse the incredible pressures on the working people of America, particularly those in unions or trying to form unions, that has been the Republican mantra, supported by their allies in the private sector. We're going to go back to enforcing labor laws. I'm going to make sure that some employers go to jail for wage theft and all the other abuses that they engage in. I will fight to protect your pensions. You bargained for those pensions. You deserve to have what you bargained for. And we're going to make it harder and harder to stop what should be the right of every American to join a union and bargain collectively through that union. But I'll tell you, we've got a fight on our hands, don't we?
Absolutely. And look, I like the rhetoric, but as far as action is concerned, I really don't think that anybody will fight as hard for unions as Bernie Sanders does, and as hard as Bernie Sanders has fought for unions. Even though I'm sure Hillary does support the idea of collective bargaining, in her platform and personally, I think that her support is definitely undercut by her ties to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which she, until recently, had actually advocated for. I believe I heard that she was in the room when they were negotiating, that she had been pushing for this as Secretary of State. The TPP would have huge ramifications on collective bargaining. It would essentially undercut everything that she had spoke for, which of course is why she backtracked on it. Which kind of shows to me that she's not exactly as staunchly union as she presents herself to be. Now, as I said, I have no doubt that she personally believes that collective bargaining and unions are a good thing, but some of her other policy priorities would kind of render that moot, and I don't think that's really as important or on her radar as she tries to make it seem. And especially as Bernie Sanders makes it. This for Bernie Sanders, unions are kind of a top issue because he's hitting the economic system and really trying to push for higher wages and address an income inequality as well as workplace protections. These are union things, and these are things that a strong union would push for. Now, there's another thing as well. Sanders has always been, of course, been against these so-called free trade agreements, and that's going back to the TPP. And pretty much what all this shows is that on worker rights, other politicians will talk the talk, but I think it's Bernie Sanders is the only one that's walking the walk.